Hi guys, what's up? So today I'll be showing you guys how to make this face mask out of fabric. Any fabric of your choice actually. I used Ankara. So first we'll be drafting the pattern. I'll be showing you guys how to draft the pattern for this project. Okay, so the first thing I'll be drawing a horizontal line that is 4 inches long. Okay, so that's 4 inches long, and I'm just going to label it 4 inches so I don't get confused about the measurements. And so from one point, I'm extending a vertical line that is 3 inches upwards. Okay, so from one point of the first line, I'm extending a vertical line upwards that measures exactly 3 inches. Okay, guys, this might look different on your screen because of where my camera is placed. So the vertical looks horizontal and the horizontal looks vertical, but it's just follow my tips. Okay, so I'm just going to label point A, point B, and point C like I have already done. So from the second point of the 4 inch line that I drew initially, the very first line, I'm going to extend another line upwards, another vertical line upwards that measures 4.5 inches. So I'm just going to draw the line like so. So then I have it looking like this. So I have point A, B, and C labeled out already. So I'm just going to make this point D. Okay, yeah. Then I'm just going to write out the measurement for this line, which is 4.5 inches. But before I do that, I'm going to connect the two vertical lines with a slant line. So from the tip of the longer line, or the longest line, the longest vertical line, I'll be connecting it to the shorter vertical line. Then I have this shape. I think this is a trapezoid. Is it trapdoor? I'm not sure what shape this is, but it looks like this. Then I'm just going to write out the measurement for that line, which is 4.5 inches. Okay, so to get the middle point of that line, I'll be dividing 4.5 inches by 2, and it would give me 2.25 inches. So along the line that measures 4.5 inches, I would measure 2.25 inches just so I can get the center point of that line. And I'm just going to mark the spot that measures 2.25 inches, then extend it outwards or extend it forward by half an inch, then draw it out with a straight line by half an inch. Okay, so I'm just going to label the measurement, which is half an inch. Okay, so once that is done, the next step is to connect the upper part of the peak. Okay, yeah, I think I'll call that point a peak. To connect the peak, which is the highest point, to the center point that I just extended outwards. Okay, so I'm just going to make this point E. So what I did right now, I connected point D, which is upwards, to point E. Alright, so I'm going to repeat the same thing from point A to point E. Basically, just a straight line like so, and that is it. Alright, next from the peak, I'm going to measure 1 inch along that slant line. So I'm just going to place my ruler and measure from point D. Yeah, from point D, I measure 1 inch along the slant line, and I'm just going to mark the spot that measures 1 inch. Okay, now from that marked spot that measures 1 inch, I'm going to bring it inwards by half an inch. This basically is to create a curve from the center front towards the side, just to get a curve so it doesn't get into your eye. You get me? So next I'll be um drawing out the curve from point D, then connecting it to point C, which is the side of the face mask. So this is going to be my new upper line. The first line which I created, which is the first straight line or the first slant line, I'm going to erase that out and just work with this curved line from now on. Okay, so the next step is to add the seam allowance to the pattern. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to start off by from the sides. So I'll be adding half an inch seam allowance to the side. So I'm basically just marking half an inch all through this sides, and I'm joining the spots together, or all the points together, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the bottom. So this is the tricky part, guys. You guys want to see the full allowance, how I um added the full allowance to this pattern, because here is the tricky part. Okay, so I'm just going to add another half inch to the bottom part of the face mask and connect those points together like I did for the sides as well. Okay, now let's see, guys. I added half an inch at the bottom. Let me bring you guys closer just so you guys can see. So I'll be laboring labor God, what am I saying? So I'll be just yeah, let me just bring you guys closer. So I added half an inch at the bottom, half an inch on the side. So this half an inch is for seam allowance, basically. Half an inch on the side. Then at the center front, the lower half of the center front, I added half an inch. Okay, just for the lower half of the center front. The reason is that this part tends to have your um lips, and you tend to like breathe through it or want to talk to it, so that's why I added half an inch seam allowance. But for the upper half of the peak, I'll be adding quarter of an inch seam allowance, because I want the peak to rest properly on the nose, not to have some form of bulky effect at that point. So that's why I'll be adding quarter of an inch at the peak, then at the top slope of the face mask as well. So for the top slope, I'll be adding quarter of an inch. Then for the upper half of the center front, I'll be adding quarter of an inch. So as you guys can see, from point D, I measured out quarter of an inch, then connected it to the center, to the lower half of the center front, which is still half an inch. So it's half an inch at the top. Oh, sorry, it's quarter an inch at the top, half an inch at the middle, and half an inch at the bottom for the center front. Okay, now for the slope on the top, I went ahead to reduce it by an extra half inch, because initially did it with half inch, but I noticed it was still a little bit too high, so I went ahead to reduce it by an extra half inch, making it 1 inch. So I dropped that slope, or made that slope with 1 inch. Okay, so right now I've added the quarter of an inch seam allowance to the upper half, or to the slopey part of the face mask, and I'm just going to label that for you guys to see. So it's quarter of an inch at the top, half an inch at the side, as you guys can see, then half an inch at the bottom, that's the base of the face mask. Then the lower half of the center front is half an inch, the center point of the center front is half an inch, while the peak, the highest point, is quarter of an inch as well. Okay, next I'm going to just cut it out, just cut out the pattern, and yeah, this is basically the pattern. Next, because I did this on a printing paper, and printing paper does not have enough stability, or it's not that stable, I went ahead to trace it on a cardstock paper, just because a cardstock paper tends to get more durable, tends to be more durable. Okay, so I've just traced out the cardstock paper, or the pattern on the cardstock paper, and I'm going to use this cardstock paper to cut out 4 pieces of my fabric. So I folded my fabric into 4, and I'm going to cut out 4 pieces. Okay, now I'm cutting 4 pieces of this fabric because I intend to make it like use the same fabric for the lining and for the outer front as well. But if you're using two different materials, if you're using a lining fabric and a main fabric, then you can cut 2 pieces for your main fabric and 2 pieces for your lining fabric. Okay, so right now I'm just cutting the fabric using the pattern. Okay, so guys, if you're cutting with a pattern, you can use pins to pin down your pattern while you cut, but I skipped that process. I just wanted to do the whole thing sharp. Okay, so now I have 4 individual pieces of this fabric, and the reason I have 4 is because I'm using the same fabric as my lining. But if you're using two different fabrics, you should cut 2 pieces pair fabric. All right, so I'm just going to pair them together, right sides facing each other, then sew the center front with a straight stitch. All right, all right. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. I have sewn both pairs together, right side facing each other at the center front. Next step is to include the elastic band. I'm using a black elastic band, but you can use any color you want. I think this is the one I have, so I decided to go with this one. So I'm using the black elastic band, and the length of this elastic band is 7 inches. So you could, yeah, 7 inches long. So I'll be putting the elastic bands on both sides, yeah, in between, then sew all the way around the face mask. Okay, do not forget I left 1 inch allowance or 1 inch opening at the bottom of the face mask, just so I can turn it right sides out when I'm done sewing. Okay, so this is what it looks like after sewing. I went ahead to press it with an iron. So this is the 1 inch opening I left before. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to close that opening and add rhinestones to it, and that's pretty much it, guys. You can do without the rhinestones if you do not want them, but I wanted the face mask to look a little bit extra. You feel me? I wanted it to look a little bit extra. Okay, yeah. So I went ahead to add rhinestones to it, but if you do not want them, you can totally do without it. It's still cool. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Hope you guys liked the video, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and uh yeah, let me know your thoughts about this project. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Do not forget to subscribe if you're a first timer on my channel. If you're new, do not forget to subscribe, like my videos, subscribe, share. All right, guys, see you in my next video. Bye.